Hey YouTubers, Fast Eddie here. Told you I was going to do a blower video here. So before I get started on that, I wanted to briefly discuss that I am not trying to insinuate in any way that I'm an expert on any videos or anything that I am doing. Most of this is my experience and the way I do things. I will try and talk about things that I have knowledge of. If I don't have much knowledge in it, I would indicate that, and I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking or giving him false information. So okay, so let's get on with this. I'm doing it in the back of my truck because my garage is too disorganized and too timely to be able to get everything arranged and do it in my garage. Okay, so what we're going to talk about here is these are 71 series blowers. So what we have here on this side, this is the smallest that I own of a 71 series, called a 371. This is a 471, and this is a 671. Okay, now I'll briefly explain. 71 means the cubic inch of each cylinder. Okay, so being this would be a 371, it would mean it's a 3-cylinder, 71 cubic inches per cylinder. And the same 471, 671. Okay, so all these design blowers are made to fit on an inline style diesel Jimmy motor. Okay, so that means they hang on the side of the motor. You can check all this out on the web. It'll give you a picture of how they look on the motor. I will say that I'm pretty sure on this that the rotors are different in length, of course, but they're all in same height. Now there is a large bore and a small bore. I believe this is a small bore, but I'm not sure. These aren't the right bearing plates on here, on this one here. They're just stuck on there. But I was thinking that this is small bore, but I'm not sure on that, because I know I have others too. So yeah, so back in let's see, in about the late 30s, they come up with a 671 motor. They used this blower. I'm not sure if these were before this style of engine was developed for the diesel motors, but it was in the late 30s that they come out with this 671 Jimmy diesel blower motor. Okay, now the thing about the blowers are the blower does not build any internal pressure in the blower, and the way that it pressurizes, or not pressurizes, the way that it delivers air, because it's an air pump and it's pumping air to the motor, to a 2-stroke motor, is it pumps air around the outside. Okay, it doesn't push air down through the center. It pushes it from the outside around. Okay, again, you can see that graph shown on the internet to make it more easier to understand. I will say that through my studies and my knowledge of what I've found out, that the blower is not as efficient a way of boosting a motor as a turbocharger, because of the power loss in running the blower from a belt. So the way, if anyone doesn't know, the way that you make these run on the street is, because they're only made to run for low RPMs on a diesel motor, is they retime the blowers They changed the bearings in it for a high speed. They put a snout on the front here that allows to be connected with a coupler here to the snout, and then on the front you can attach a pulley. There's gear oil in here with 2 gears. On the back, this bearing plate is removed, and there's just a single plate that just blocks it off and caps the back. Okay, these are bearing plates on the back. Okay, so there's a special plate that's made for the back, and different bearings are placed here and caps off the back. So when you get them off of the diesel, they come with a bearing plate on the front and the back, and I believe they come with the covers on both sides. What else can I tell you? So there is a different style of blower. Now the rotor is a twist rotor, but there's different styles of blowers that look similar, but they don't bolt on to the motor the same, and they come on a V style motor. Now those motors are, I believe, 6V71, which is a shorter rotor than the regular 671, and they also came out with a 8V71. So there's a lot of confusion in the 871s versus what it was a regular diesel blower that came like this one, which they didn't. Jimmy never built a blower that was 871 with this same configuration that hangs on the side of the motor. And I have one of those cases I'll bring out and I'll show you the differences. But so a lot of the let's go back. So I say in the late 30s they came out with the diesel Jimmy blowers on diesel motors, and in the late 40s a gentleman adapted a 371 onto a flathead, and it was in a roadster, and he went out and broke speed records on Bonneville salt flats. So that's kind of where from what I understand, the history of the blower became into hot rodding, because blowers are part of the hot rodding history. But, that's where it's made its stake into hot rodding, was about that time. And from then on, there's the great improvements. They learned what they can do with a blower on top of an engine. They went on to developing the bigger ones. So yeah, and from what I understand, in the earlier times, to get the even bigger than the 671 is, they would use the 871, which I have here, an 871, which is not a 8V71. Which the only thing it is, let me stress this, the only thing this blower is a 671 case that I have had modified and had this spacer plate put on the back to make this into a longer blower than a 671, and they call this an 871 because it uses 871 rotors, but it's a 671 case with a spacer, making it an 871 now. Okay, so the one beside it is a 671. It's one that I tried to convert myself and wasn't successful at doing it. It ran a little bit, but then the rotor started interfering. So this is one that I had done recently. Company called Mooneyham actually does it. The guy that built this one previously worked at Mooneyham, and I found out through a lot of searching that you could take a 8V71 rotor, which is about 1 inch longer than a 671, and send them your 671 case with the longer rotors, the bearing plate, cover if needed, and they would assemble it, time it for running on gas. I wanted running on gas. I guess you could make it for running on alcohol, which just means making tighter tolerances to make a little more boost. And they built this ring back here, spacer ring, and this is a cover that I had. So yeah. There's the plate that's made to cover the back of the blower. So I'm going to use this bigger blower probably on a big block Chevy. Yeah, this is all factory stuff here. Less these aftermarket parts, but the main body of the blower is all factory stuff. Okay, the case is factory bearing plates, factory cover. I'll have to buy a snout. I'll have to buy a block off plate. I'll have to buy a plate for the top to run naturally 2 carburetors, and of course intake manifold, which a lot of those parts I've been accumulating. So let me get you that other blower case, a V71, and I'll get it out here so we can look at the differences of it. So this is the case here, the 8V71 case. So you could see the differences of this case here. So these bolts that hold it on, now remember, this sets in the middle of an engine, kind of like they do on a regular gas motor, you know, as you see them on hot rods. It sets in the middle of the engine. It's an 8V71, and it bolts down through bolts at an angle, 3 bolts. Now if this is a 6V71, there would only be 2 spots, not 3. Okay, so that's the way to look at it physically and just tell right away if it's an 8 or a 6 if you don't have a tape measure. But they take the same rotor. Now, of course, there's a small bore and a large bore of these, which I'm not sure. That part I'm not sure. Will the small bore interchange with another small bore 671? I don't know that for sure. I'm just giving you information that I know and I had to check out before I knew I had the right parts or not. And I had a this was an exceptionally we were thinking it was brand new, never even been ran before, 8V71. So, and another thing I don't know is if the 8V71 came out at a later date than the 671 did. And the 671 is I know it's a diesel motor they've been making for many years. So not necessarily the ones that I have are as old as, you know, the 40s or the 30s. I wouldn't know that for sure. I mean, maybe them being a certain color means, you know, from a certain year. I mean, look at the difference in that 371 color versus, you know, the puke green or the minty army green color of the 671 and the 471. The 471's even a little different color, but it's been green, a few different greens there, it looks like. So, you know, it's really hard to tell. so yeah, I will say, you know, I mean, if anybody has even dealt with any of these blowers, that the manifolds for this style here are available pretty much for a lot of different motors. Mostly for Chevy is more common than any of the other motors, but you're not going to find a manifold for this for this blower here. They do make adapter plates that allow you to use a plate on top of the manifold that would fit for this manifold over here. So me personally, I don't like the way these blowers look. They don't look as pleasing to the eye on top of the motor. I know there's a lot of guys out there that use these blowers in applications, and they work great. It's just it's gonna require a little more work to get it to work on a manifold like for this one. So what else can I tell you? The 6V71, I think I mentioned it, but the blower, the whole blower is shorter, longer than the 471, but shorter than the 671. I said 6V71. So 6V71, remember I said it's going to look like this one, but it's just going to be shorter than that one, and definitely shorter than the regular 671, but I can't remember how much shorter. So this 471 is a really good blower for street application, for a small block Chevy running one carburetor. I know the 371s are fairly popular for flathead guys. They like them. And I think I've seen 471s on there too, but the 371 seems like they fit really nice on roadsters. Are popular on like a Model A roadster with a flathead. They seem to be getting more popular. As far as manifolds, I don't know about that. I have seen manifolds made. It seems like Mooneyham makes one for the 471. I want to say flathead, but I'm not sure. So, you know, if I was gonna have a blower rebuilt again, I would probably go with Mooneyham again. I think they're pretty good, and they're the most fair price. A lot of the bigger blower companies, I will say, I had this problem before. They don't want to service these factory diesel blowers. There's not enough money for them to be making. They want to use, you know, their own product. I want to say, and I'm not saying anything bad about any of them, but I have tried to talk with the blower shop guys, and they don't really have any interest in rebuilding a blower like this at all. They don't have any interest in setting it up for street. So you need to pick somebody that I know Mooneyham will do it. There's other companies that'll do it too. I've had one done by Littlefield. They did it, but they didn't act like they really wanted to continue doing it. I think Littlefield I paid $1,000 or $900, and that was just for a 671. They weren't even modifying it. And I think with this 871, for the modifications of it, including the shipping, it was at $900, and that's 4 or 5 years later than when I had the 671 done. So, all right, guys. Well, I wanted to do this video. We did have some nice weather. Now it's starting to sprinkle, and I will say I appreciate comments, whether they're good or bad. Somebody mentioned earlier that I needed to work on my video editing, that the camera was pointing down at the dirt sometimes, and yeah, I probably do need to work on that. And you know, one of the things I'm going to invest in is a what do they call it, a gimbal? Yeah, I think a gimbal is what they call it, and you can mount your camera to it. It has automatic steady in it. It has face recognition for if you're talking to the camera, you're the only one filming, that the camera will follow. It'll lock to your face and follow you. So yeah, I mean, my goal isn't really, I mean, who knows if I'll ever make money doing videos. That's not really my goal. My goal is that I put out content for people to watch, because it's like what I'd like to do. I like to watch people doing things and get inspired or pick up tips to learn or do different. And I want to do the same. And you know, why do something that's crappy? You know, don't do it half. Put an effort into it. You know, make it something that's viewable. So I'll invest a little money into some better equipment for filming, and we'll try to make stuff better. Anyways, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think if you got any questions. All right, have a good one.